fastest-growing boutique cigar companies, providing smokers a portal into the old Cuban tradition of perfect balance and the lost art of progressive flavor construction. Roberto Pelayo Duran began his career in tobacco over 2 decades ago in Havana, where his reputation grew within Cuban circles. The creation of Duran Premium Cigars has given Roberto the platform to introduce a series of cigars that offer the same quality, construction, and detail which he perfected while in Cuba. Brands include the ultra-premium Roberto P. Duran Premium Cigar Series, Azan Cigars, Nea, and Baracoa. Duran Cigars uses a seed-to-humidor approach, as all tobacco is grown on their farms and rolled in their factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. Rollers have been carefully chosen to carry out Roberto's precise method to ensure progressive flavor in each cigar. Duran Cigars invites you to make their premium your standard. Experience the world through the eyes of an icon with the new Macanudo Inspirado line. Created for a global palate, Macanudo Inspirado defies convention. Handcrafted with the world's finest tobaccos, Inspirado delivers a unique international smoking experience. Find Inspirado Orange at fine tobaccos everywhere and Inspirado Black online and in your favorite catalogs. Ready to be inspired? Check out Macanudo Inspirado now at macanudo.com. CAO has brought you iconic cigars over the years. Brazilian, Italian, La Traviata, done in a playful nature with a unique twist. Travel to the exciting world of CAO and back in just under an hour with any of the groundbreaking CAO World Blends. Test the boundaries of style with new age brands in the 95 rated Flathead. Honor the past with new classics like Pilon. Treat your palate to an array of flavors with Soulfire and Moon Trance. At CAO, the experiences are limitless. So what's your next move?
Hey, Paul, what's up?
What's up, Mark?
Did you hear about the new cigar that's coming out?
Which one is that? There's like 800 new ones every week.
The one with the Connecticut broadleaf wrapper.
Oh, really? I love Connecticut broadleaf. Who makes it?
I think it's Nicaraguan.
So Nicaraguan binder and filler, or it's made in a factory in Nicaragua?
I always have to Google these, and it's taken me like an hour to find out what it is.
If this is a frequent conversation with your cigar buddies, look no further than Stogie Geeks News, the only cigar news podcast on the internet. Will Cooper, the man behind cigar-coop.com, and Paul Asadorian from the Stogie Geeks produce a weekly show covering the latest cigar news, new blends, cigar manufacturer announcements, and more. Subscribe to the video version on YouTube or get the audio version in your favorite podcast catcher. Head on over to stogienews.tv to subscribe today.
Saga Cigars, makers of the Saga Golden Age. The Golden Age is a cigar that takes you back to the classic days of cigar smoking. Through the 6 generations of experience by the Reyes family, the Saga Golden Age delivers a timeless blend that uses the nobility of the tobacco to bring you the perfect balance of power and flavor. It narrates better than words the history of a family's tradition in tobacco, delivering a cigar much like the ones they used to smoke in the times of Hemingway. Saga Golden Age is a full-bodied, full-flavored Dominican Puro. With tobaccos from one farm, the blend features a Corojo 2006 wrapper and filler from original Cuban seeds grown in the Dominican Republic. Available in 4 sizes at an affordable price, the Saga Golden Age is sure to please and take you back on a journey to yesteryear.
Brought to you by Rocky Patel Premium Cigars, the Tabacero by Hamlet Paredes, developed and blended by Cuban master of tobacco, Hamlet Paredes. This cigar is an exciting addition to the Patel family, featuring traditional and rare sizes hand-picked by Hamlet himself. Smoke Tabacero by Hamlet Paredes today. For more information, visit them on the web at rockypatel.com and be sure to follow Rocky Patel Premium Cigars on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. This is our Stogies of the Week segment. And Will, with both you and I traveling, it's been kind of interesting to keep up with the Stogies of the Week.
Yeah, in fact, last week when we had JD on from Toasted Foot, who we were doing the IPCPR recap, we did IPCPR smokes.
Yeah.
And we're not reviewing cigars at IPCPR, so they were all unrated, but they were cigars we did talk about from the show floor, just because you can't review them, but you can give some perspectives on it at least.
Yeah, I even noticed when I was out in Vegas, I had a cigar, and in that dry climate, I was like, I was a Hoya de Monterey Churchill Cuban cigar, and I'm like, I'm just not getting all the flavors I should.
Cigars taste different in that climate.
They do.
They really do.
the same way as cigars taste different at higher elevations.
Mm.
When you start clicking up to like Denver, cigars don't taste the same in Miami as they taste in Denver.
Interesting.
So you know what? When I was up in the mountains, I had a smoking room. Right, this is recently, and I took 3 lighters with me. This was in Albuquerque, and all 3 lighters. I always get a smoking room. All 3 lighters would not work. Right,
Right,
and I'm
because
like,
they don't have the
"What?"
same amount of oxygen.
Right. So after refilling them and stuff, right, I just been throwing stuff and using a Bic. I went over to Monty's in Albuquerque the next day, and the guy said to me, he goes, "You're not from around here, are you?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, I'm going to advise getting one of the high altitude lighters because he says the other lighters will just eventually stop working."
Right.
So that's what I got, and it did the trick. And when I got home, all my lighters worked. So, yeah.
Now, did your high altitude lighters work in low altitude? Is that
Yeah, in fact, I've been, it does. The sidecar, yeah.
So it's an all altitude lighter.
It's an
That's
all
right.
Up to the stratosphere.
Yeah, it was good. But yeah, I mean,
Does it work underwater? No, that would be amazing.
I don't know.
Will got a smoking room in Atlantis, and he got one on the space station.
Yeah,
It's
there you
amazing.
I think you need to do this test. I think there's people with this question.
That's right.
Here's the thing. When I tell people, remember we did a few weeks ago a show where I said, here are the rules how to get a smoking room?
Yeah.
Don't break your own rule, because I went through friggin' Expedia, and what happens, I get there and I did not get a smoking room one night. So you have to call the hotel is the only way if you're going to get your smoking room. If you want
really
to
funny.
be sure you have it, that's the way to do it.
So I think it was last night or the night before, I went in the workshop, which used to be the Stogie Geeks studio. Be thankful we have this now, Steven, not my dank little workshop in my
Really?
house.
Wow, this is a big step
It's
up.
a big step up.
All right.
I smoked an Angel Share Robusto. It's from one of the original
You're
releases.
going really cheap here, I can tell.
Yeah. This thing was just, so awesome. It has those Opus X, some of the notes it
Right.
shares. It doesn't have that leathery component, but it has a ton of that like cinnamon sweetness that you get from Opus X. And this just embodied that. These are aging beautifully. I think that in another 6 months to a year, they're just going to be off the charts because they just seem to be getting better and better and better.
So
they didn't lose
you're gonna
anything.
give me a couple, is what you're saying, right? So I can try it.
I might have some
Yeah.
in my humidor. Well, I'll go shopping. We'll go shopping after the
Sounds
show.
like a thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is a Fight Chuck Norris all day long. It's a 4.5 Fight Chuck Norris farm. Well, I'm telling you, these things are going to be Oasis in 6 months to a year, for sure.
Wow, interesting.
And this size in that blend is definitely. I mean, the Churchills are good, but the Robusto in this blend is just.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for there to be one standout size.
Yeah, we call it the bell of the ball.
Right.
The Robusto for me in this blend is the bell of the ball, and I think I've smoked almost all the sizes in this line. Poor me, right?
Right.
The things we have to do for the Stogie Geeks, Will. But this Robusto, if you find these, stock up on them. It's worth the investment. They smoke great when you get them, and they're just doing nothing but getting better with age. And as you know, Steve, I mean, some cigars kind of drop off and reach different peaks and valleys. These have just been consistently good as they're aging. So,
Yep.
High praise.
Back to you, Will.
Well, along the Fuente line, I did light up the Don Carlos Edición de Aniversario 2008, and I believe, Paul, this was from you.
Most likely.
Most likely, yes. And I had, there's different sizes. I'd had the double Robusto and I'd had the Toro, but I hadn't had the 5 1/4 by 50 regular Robusto. And so this is the one I had, that Dominican Puro. I've kind of had mixed results with the Don Carlos. I think this one all came together with. I really think it came together with this particular size. I think we call bell of the ball. This was definitely that bell of the ball I had. It had a lot of nice sweetness early on that cigar, that natural tobacco sweetness, and this cigar is cedar wrapped, and you'll start to get more of that cedary, that grassy component. The sweetness will go down in the second half. And I don't want to say hey because I smoked this cigar in tribute to Don Carlos. I really felt that this cigar came together in this particular size. Like I said, it was just one I really enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed it the most of this. I gave this one the other ones I'd probably had more of as a $5. They're not cheap, these cigars.
They're like $30 a stick.
They're $30 a stick. for this, but this one was box worthy. I mean, I really, really love this Robusto, where it was significantly better than the others, which I would say are fivers in my book.
I will say one thing. Those blends, all the limited blends I've found from Fuente like that, the Don Carlos, the Opus X, Angel's Share, they all age really well in your humidor. I mean,
Yeah, and this one I've had for a while. I mean, you gave me this one probably about almost. I want to say you gave me this about 18 months ago, maybe almost 2 years ago. So
they don't tend to age out. I mean,
yeah,
Opus X will age out, but I mean, we're talking if you're smoking the original Opus X from 98 or 99 or whenever that came, maybe even 95.
Yeah, it was a little earlier.
Yeah, I think it was 95, right?
Yeah, 95, 96.
Those are aging out now. But I mean,
Yeah.
now we're talking 20 years.
20
So,
years. Yeah.
And I tell you what, I would still smoke one now. I'd probably even pay quite a premium for it because that first third is still awesome. It really is. I mean, it tapers out after that, and you're like, yeah, the cigar's aged out. But holy crap, that first third is really good. Still,
That's a
after
very
20 years.
expensive first
It is a
third,
very
right?
expensive, like 30
Yeah,
minutes of
yeah.
smoking time. Yeah. But it's that good. I don't know. I wouldn't pay over $100 for one, I don't think. But
You guys are rich, man. Wow.
it's all for science, Steve. It's all for science. It's so we can share this knowledge with our listeners that it's only the first third of a 20-year-old Opus X that's good, right?
This is what we bring the best.
This
of,
is
I
what
mean,
we bring to the table.
Wow.
between that and Davidoff.
Oh,
Like the
God.
Stogie Geeks budget, man.
It's yeah.
So here's the question. What if you took and just cut the first 2/3 off? Would the last third be as enjoyable as the first third?
No, I don't know. This is very unscientific, but when cigars age in my humidor, or more than likely in someone else's humidor, and then I go pay someone a lot of money to get the cigars that have been aging in their humidor,
Right.
I find that different parts will smoke better with age. Like I think it has to do with leaf placement would be my guess. Different leaves are placed, in the first third versus the final third, because I found that cigars that might gas out in the final third. If you put some age on them, that tobacco changes a little, and the final third is a little better. That's, again, us smoking 700 cigars a year.
From a construction point of view, I would think that you would find the first third to be better because of the way a handmade cigar is typically bunched. Because cigars that are made in the Dominican Republic or made in Nicaragua, what ends up happening is the size of the leaves that we deal with are much longer than Cuba. So in Cuba, typically what ends up happening is because the leaves are just inherently shorter, when you take a Cuban cigar bunch in your hand, you break it in the center, and what ends up happening is the tips, the front of the blade ends up in the head of the cigar. But when you're making a cigar in the Dominican or Nicaragua, you actually have two breaks. You have a break that comes from the back and gets folded forward, and then you have a break that comes from the front third and gets folded backwards. So what ends up happening is the strongest part of the leaf typically ends up oriented in the front of the cigar. So the most flavorful, the highest concentration of oil is often going to be in that first half of the cigar, unless they're repositioning those breaks throughout the cigar. So it actually would make some sense to me that with a cigar that's been aged a long time, if they weren't repositioning after those breaks and they were just doing the breaks and doing the flip of that front third of the blade, that the foot of that cigar would actually have more body and more strength over time.
Finally, some science behind why we enjoy the first third of aged cigars.
Well, that's one of the reasons why when you smoke a lot of Nicaraguan cigars, you get that real strong pepper blast
in the front.
in that very front beginning.
Makes sense.
Because that's where those tips are, is they're located in that front third of the cigar in most cigars. Other cigars, the manufacturer will actually take those and reposition them throughout the cigar. There's some manufacturers that don't like that peppery spiciness that gives, and they'll actually drop that onto the table and not even use that part of the leaf.
Oh, interesting.
So it really just depends on what your intent is with the cigar. But assuming they didn't reposition and they didn't drop them, it would make sense to me that the first third of that cigar would endure aging longer than the rest of the cigar, because it would have had more essential oils to begin with.
Wow, that's awesome. Thanks for that, Steve. That was enlightening.
Yeah, that was.
So Villiger has sent us some cigars, Will, which I've started smoking through. Have you smoked through the Villiger, the Sandoro line?
Yeah, in fact, I've now smoked through all three. Our studio sponsor there.
Mm.
And yeah, I really like that Brazilian one they put together.
Was that the Maduro?
That's the Maduro.
I like the Maduro the best.
Me too.
I think for me, that's
Yep.
probably the box split of the bunch. They did a Connecticut, a Claro, and a Maduro.
And the Maduro is
And a
what?
co-
It's
and a-
Matafina, I assume, since it's
Is it
Brazilian.
Yeah, it's Matafina.
Okay.
I think there's some Mata Norte in there too.
Okay.
Yeah, I smoked 2 of the Maduros, and I really liked them. The Claros and the Connecticut's for me were kind of like fivers. In my book, Will, I don't know where they kind of put on your rating scale. They were all like Toro-sized cigars that they sent us. Were those were all Toros, right?
They were Toros, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they were good. They paired well with coffee in the morning.
Right.
I mean, what cigar doesn't, right? It's hard for me to rate any cigar that a manufacturer's put effort into, and I smoke in the morning with coffee that doesn't get at least a 5 rating for the most part.
So you're so generous. That's why I could never do your job. I'd be the guy like, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. Buy this one, skip these other 8. I'd have no advertisers.
I know, but I'm gonna get in trouble with one of mine in a little bit.
Yeah. Sometimes we get in trouble.
Do
Believe
ya?
me. Oh, we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, believe me, there's one I'm gonna get in trouble with tonight. So.
Yep.
Oh, see, now there's something to hear. I'm ready. Let's
That's
hear
it.
about
That's
Let's stop
it.
hearing about the good cigars. Where are the bad
Where are
cigars?
the bad
What should I
cigars?
not be buying?
So let's get you in. So again, if you're looking at that Sandoro line, I would go Maduro.
Okay.
Would be where I would go in that in the sizes that we smoked, and of course size matters. But Will, so you're gonna get yourself in trouble here tonight.
Yeah,
And
so
Will never gets himself in trouble. Will's
No,
always
I
really
mean,
positive on
well-
it. We try and stay positive here.
I'm gonna,
Steve,
I'm,
you
I'm
know?
gonna be.
You know
I'm
what?
gonna
It's
be-
easy. There's so many cigars in the marketplace that you don't really have to talk about the ones
That's
that aren't
exactly it.
necessarily that good. So the fact that, and you can kind of tell when you're in social media, look at the ones that people are taking a lot of pictures of.
Yes.
Not just the one guy or the 2 guys, but if you see that picture over and over again,
Right.
that's a pretty good indicator that that's one that a lot of people are kind of jonesing on.
The more reviews a cigar gets,
The more, right.
It's
Typically, that's an
that's-
indication of, okay, this is one I ought to strike for.
right.
So
Yeah.
go ahead and mess this up, Will. Go. We're waiting.
So a couple years ago, there was a collaboration cigar done by Ernesto Perez Carrillo and Michael Giannini called the Reunited.
Yeah,
Um,
that
it-
was definitely not a reunion that should have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't. So 2 years ago, I said maybe it's young, but I wasn't doing handstands over it. I happened to
Was this the
find.
one with the box? Was like kind of like a goldish kind of circle kind of thing on the box?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It
know what
has,
you're
and the
talking about.
band kind of has it has EPC going down, and then like MPG. They have the same middle initial in going across there, and I had high hopes for this cigar. Well, I was over when I took my trip to Raleigh last month. I picked up a couple of these at J&R. I happened to see them. I said, well, let me give this another shot to see what if there was anything better about this cigar. And I'm sorry, guys, it just wasn't. I mean, it was just kind of boring. I mean, it had a woody profile. It had some subtle sweetness to it. It wasn't very complex. It kind of smoked from beginning to end the same. The burn was okay. It should have been. I would expect a stellar burn from a cigar being produced like that. I had it as a try one. I'm going to keep it as a try one. I know.
Yeah, that'd be my rating too.
Yeah,
Try
I mean,
one.
I was hopeful.
I didn't
at 2
try
years
it. No, I did try it, but it wasn't my cup of tea.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It was a miss, guys. So
A lot of the collaborations tend to,
See, I
it's
don't
very
even. Let me say
polarizing.
this: I don't even like them. I don't understand the concept of a collaboration.
well, Steve,
To me, that's just-
you did one. Didn't you
that's-
do one with Dion?
No, I didn't do one. John did one with Dion.
Okay.
And
okay.
how well did that go?
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
Case in point.
Right. I mean, listen.
Okay.
To me, that's collaborations don't make any sense to me at all because my point of view, I want a cigar to have a point of view. So I want to taste something that comes from that one individual blender, that one ligador. I want to experience what his vision is. I don't want 3 people trying to make one spaghetti sauce.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not
No,
what I
that's a good
want.
point.
I
Yeah.
want I want to try Grandma Tzitzit spaghetti
Yeah.
sauce that she's been making.
Because
for
if
80
anyone else
years.
goes in her kitchen, man, you're getting hit with that wooden spoon.
Exactly. So, I mean, to me, the whole collaboration idea, it's good for marketing. It's good for press. You know, guys get all, oh, my God, can you imagine so-and-so is going to have a baby together? It's going to be the best baby ever. And ultimately, it always ends up being
Being an ugly baby.
yes, it's terrible.
Most of them have been misses.
They are,
Yeah.
but again, just
you're
think
right.
about the logic of it. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
What makes the one guy cigars loved and the other guy cigars loved is because of their unique individual personalities that are brought to the cigars that they produce. And to try to put those into one product, just they don't make any sense. Like I said, great for marketing, great for press, terrible for cigar smokers.
I agree.
So there won't be a Saka collaboration.
There will never be a soccer collaboration.
I'm going to hold you to that.
I inferred that from your comments, but yeah.
Because in the end, I just don't care what other people think.
Yeah, well, you're right. You got to do what you're going to do.
You got it. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. That's a good
I
one.
like the grandma's kitchen.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's a good.
when
it's
somebody
a good analogy.
When somebody smokes one of my cigars, I want them to know it's my point of view. Mm-hmm. Okay,
Yeah.
good or bad, but it is my point of view. You know,
I agree.
Yeah.
Speaking of points of view, Christoph has kind of relaunched their Connecticut brand of cigars. I smoked through a number of different sizes.
You've been smoking a lot of these because we've been talking a lot about this cigar.
Yeah, but so the reason I want to talk about it again is because I found one that I really liked. And I got to be honest, the other sizes that I tried, some of the larger sizes, they didn't do it for me. I just, to be honest with you, I love Glenn and I love Jared, but like I didn't like them. And I was high in the DR4.
and I have to be honest with you, I don't think I've ever smoked a Christoph cigar.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
So this, the new Connecticut in the Robusto, Will, now that hit the mark for me. The Robusto is really good. And when I think about it, in the DR4, which is apparently they're the same blend, the DR4 and the Robusto I find is a very good Connecticut morning smoking cigar. And that was the same thing I found in here. The other sizes didn't do it for me. So if you're going to try the Christoph Connecticut, or the DR4 for that matter, go with the Robusto size. And again, we were just talking like, Robusto is not necessarily my favorite size or whatever.
Right, but that's the one that struck you the most.
Yeah, the belle of the ball in this line is definitely the Robusto. I rated a box split.
That's good. You know, it's interesting, Paul. I was so I'm at the show and I see Jared, Ed McMahon, and I shake his hand, give him a hug. We're talking. And then when as I'm done talking to him, I said, "You know, Jared, I don't think you and I ever met face to face." And it was like we knew each other.
Right.
It was a very surreal thing, but
So
I
you
thought it was
just
kind of cool
always
that
hug guys you don't know.
yeah, but he's been on the show. We've talked virtually, kind of, but never met him really face. Because last year I didn't know him when I was at the Christoph booth. I kind of got to know him in the last year through being Paul's local rep.
I
And he's
can
been on the
see
show
that in
then.
cigars, in like the security technology
Yeah,
community.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's big because people that you've known virtually for years, you meet them for the first time in a conference,
Right.
and grown men are hugging all over the place.
Now, here's-
Yeah.
Yeah. What is a security conference like? Because like I went to a packaging expo conference like I don't know 5 years ago when I was with Drew because you know we're always trying to find innovative ways to package products. So I'm gonna go to Pack Expo, big show for packaging, okay, for everything, foods and beverages and whatever. It's got to be in a package. Is the place to go. They were the most boring people
You want
ever.
to slit your
It
wrist.
was, oh my God.
Really?
That's
yeah,
what I said. At my
it
conferences
was,
I have to go
it
to.
was awful. And I think I'm spoiled because I'm going to these cigar things and
It's
everybody.
very much about community.
Yeah, it's
you know
real
each other.
social and
Security's
jokes
the same way.
and,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
the big
yeah.
personalities and it's crazy. So what's it like at a security conference?
It's the same kind of sense of community. Like there's a
Really?
whole community
really?
that we're involved
See, I
with.
would
We love
have
we're
guessed
all-
that it was like just really, really dull. That would
No,
be my guess.
It is the complete opposite.
Really?
Just
There you go.
a
Got to
quick
add that to
story.
the bucket list. I got to go to a security
My enterprise
conference.
security show, I mentioned someone by name and complimented them in their marketing, their integration that they had done.
Right.
Friends of hers listened to the show, sent her an email, said, "Hey, Paul talked about you on the show." She sent me an email, invited me to her party at Black Hat. I go to her party. Never met this woman before in my life. Big hugs. Thank you very much for mentioning me. We're all trying to accomplish the same goal. She's like, come to our party. They had a cigar roller there. She's like, have cigars, have drinks. The VP of sales was a friend of mine. They had these hats with their company logo on it. I was wearing the hat. There was a burlesque show. There was a Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin singer. I'm having a cigar. I'm having all these cocktails that are all free open bar. It was a great time.
All right,
It's a
there you
great
go.
time. That's so you
Live
just
and
go-
learn.
Yeah, it's It's a lot of fun.
I gotta get into enterprise security, huh?
That's
Have
right.
A good time.
That's right. It is. It's a very good time. And it's a booming industry, too. So people spare no expense when they're out there in Vegas. So, like I said, we freaking Casa Fuente share cigars with each other. It's good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, back to you.
So I smoked a Connecticut broadleaf. I'd put on the I put it on the gritty, dirtier side, but I wouldn't put it on that dank side. But it's one I haven't had this cigar maybe for when I say I haven't had this cigar for a long time, I'm saying maybe 5 or 6 years. But I happened to find some Henry Clays in South Carolina in the Toro size, the 6x50, with that Connecticut broadleaf and that Dominican wrapper and binder. I picked some up saying, what the heck? Let me pick some of these up.
Was that kind of like a collaboration, sort of?
Well,
No. You're talking about the original Henry
I'm
Clay.
talking about,
okay.
You're talking about the ones that are bundle pressed, the Bravas.
Yeah, this wasn't one of the Bravas though, but it's this was this was just the regular Toro they have as well.
Yeah.
So the Bravas are not cellophaned, but the Toro is, and that's how you can kind of tell the difference. And I'll tell you why.
The original Henry Clays are the best Henry Clays as far as I'm concerned.
They're the best.
All the other Henry Clays that have come, the collaboration, the this is and that, the least expensive ones that were the original Henry Clays, in my opinion, are the Henry Clay to smoke.
I would love to see Altadis maybe put a little more marketing on this one. It was a $5. Okay, I'm not going to say it's more than a $5.
No, look, it's not a sophisticated cigar by any stretch.
No,
but it's a lot of just good, honest broadleaf flavor for little money. It's an ugly cigar. The wrapper isn't very attractive. In the other ones that aren't cellophane, they compress them in a bundle, so they're all like kind of a little bit misshapen. Sometimes,
So
sometimes the cigar's got a big flat side, the other one's a little triangular.
It's got a bundle press.
But it's
like
good.
I said,
It's a good, honest flavor.
Yeah, it's not. It's a cigar. It's going to be under $6. You're going to get it for, and like I said, it smokes. It had a little more of a drying effect on my palate. I felt, and that's kind of maybe the one difference. But again, it's kind of a rough. You do get some nice Connecticut broadleaf, and I agree with Steve. They've done these collaborations, but I would go back to that original one every time, and I'd give it a $5. I'd love to see this cigar get a little more of a push, maybe with the new world order of the FDA. Maybe it will,
I kind of smoked a throwback, Will, from the old Camacho brands. I found in my humidor an old Camacho Havana.
The yellow?
The yellow band in a Churchill, and it still smokes really good. This is an old brand. It's been kicking my humidor for a while. Great stick, nice flavor. Still had that nice earthiness to it. The earthiness had kind of toned down a little bit. These were never really strong cigars, but it held the test of time. I would keep a $5 in my humidor and go back to them. Just
a lot of those
different.
classic Camachos were excellent cigars.
Yes, yeah. Well, there's a shop down the street, Mr. J. Savannah Smoke Shop. They were big Camacho. Talk about a shop that pushes a brand.
Right.
They were a big Camacho shop for a long time and had access to a lot of that Camacho stuff.
There's a lot of flavor, reasonably priced.
Ages really well.
Yeah, no.
I remember having an 1105. It's one of
Right.
those, you could really tapers down kind of thing. Just awesome. Awesome cigar.
See, the new Camacho line confuses me. There's so many of them.
There are.
It's like a box of crayons now. Good God.
Well, the colors look like boxes of crayons.
But honestly, it's like, how do you keep it straight? There's that yellow, and there's a blue, and there's a green, and there's an orange, and there's a black, and I'm not even scraping the surface. I think there's so much variety in that line.
It's not the Camacho that I kind of grew in the industry to know and love. It's definitely different. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just it's so. Ever since
the
Christian left,
the original Camacho was a quintessential classic Honduran flavored cigar.
Yes.
And there really isn't too many of those left anymore. So just the way tobacco is currently being grown, the number of farms that have closed down in Honduras, the number of manufacturers that have migrated out of Honduras into Nicaragua, there aren't a lot of classic Honduran cigars being made, and Camacho was one of those cigars, and it was always in its youth, it was kind of a rough cigar, but that was flavor profile wise. But that's also what made it stand out, made it unique, and made it appealing, at least for me.
Yeah, that triple Maduro was just like knock your socks off, rustic kind of cigar.
That coiler was pretty strong too, from what I remember.
And I think Christian does a good job with the Aroa line. I think that's kind of like for me, if you're looking for that kind of flavor profile, that's a good, really good Honduran.
Again, that's another brand I haven't smoked. Like I said,
Yeah,
you
that
guys,
20 years.
You
the
guys
Aroa
smoke
20 years.
way more than I do. Spreading the field and trying all these different things. I haven't had the chance to smoke it yet. You gonna give me one of those too?
I might have those kicking around my humidor.
I'm
too.
just gonna stick around. I'm gonna mooch everything.
I'm gonna send Steve home with a care package.
I think we're allowed to give Steve samples.
Right, you can give me cigars. I just can't give you
not
cigars.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Will, you got more cigars on your list?
Yeah, speaking of crayons.
Crayons.
I'm gonna get in trouble. So I smoked the Tarano Vault, the P044 in the Robusto. So that was one of the new ones that they came out with this year. Jack was on the show to talk about. And this is the I want to say the green band, the yellowish green band I call it.
They have a green and a purple.
Right, it's like a neon green and
Yeah.
then like a neon purple. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to take the packaging thing out of that. Jack addressed that. And there's no need to go. It's a Nicaraguan Puro at in a 5x50 Robusto at $5.50.
Wow.
I liked it. I know that a lot of people, we talked about the purple label. I think there was, but I really liked this cigar. It had a nice red pepper note throughout it. It was a little more. It was kind of in that Tarano-ish. Like there was some spice to it. There was some nice natural tobacco notes, a little nice sweetness, some cedar. But, with Tarano cigars, I always look at them as medium strength, medium bodied cigars at an affordable price. And this is what that was. And I think if you took the band off of it, not that the band is bad, but I think, obviously it looks like another band. It's a nice cigar.
The band is terrible. I could say that.
You can say that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, come on. I mean, when I first saw that product, I thought, why is Davidoff using like Nestor Miranda colors? I was like confused, you know what I mean? And then I was like, wait a minute, it isn't even a Camacho.
But the thing is,
the
though,
package, it looks so much like a Camacho, the relabel they did on Camacho. I was like shocked.
But
So
what happened here in the studio is they sent us, Tarano sent us a box, and it was half of the green and half of the purple.
Right.
And all the guys here in the studio that you smoke cigars with me that work for me, we're all like trying the greens and the purples. I mean that's how we were referring to them.
Right.
Was did you like the green? Did you like the purple? Like I think I'm gonna smoke another green
But
and the purple.
But you know what? Let me say this. Maybe it's genius because, the typical cigar consumer, they have a very hard time identifying different brands.
Yes.
So when you have something that has such a uniquely distinctive color on it,
Right.
then it's very easy for the consumer to go back into the retail shop and say, yeah, it's that one with that like
Green.
bright purple
Yeah.
band, that bright green band.
They may even know Tarano. And be
Right.
like, yeah, that Tarano, the green
right.
band.
So so for me to be just cigar snobby and critical about it from a design perspective, it may be actually one of the smartest things. Who knows?
We call that curmudgeon-y.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
You're definitely in the curmudgeon-y category
right.
for me, Steve.
Well-
And it's not a bad believe me. We need the curmudgeon-y people to be here to bring us down to reality. Believe me, it's a good balance to have. It's a good
Look,
balance to have.
I said this when Jack was on the show. I took that cigar. There's a local bar I smoke at where you could take. It's more. They don't really sell cigars there, so you could take your own there and you could drink. And I got 2 comments on that cigar. The first one is, "What are you smoking? That band is really cool."
Right.
And then another person, I kid you not, said, "Hey, what Camacho is that?" And
And
I told Jack that. So it obviously it had an impact. But the cigar, I tell you what, for $5.50, I'd split a box of those. It's a great cigar to just have.
Now, which one is that? Is that the purple or the green?
That's the green.
That's the green.
The
That's
green
the
is a little more nuanced.
Yeah.
The consensus here in the studio was purple was the winner. And I don't know, we were just comparing that. I mean, it's kind of unfair to compare them.
I'm a little more towards the yellow, the green. I keep calling it the yellow, but it's the green. A little more towards that one, but yeah, the purple's more nuanced. I'd agree. This one's a little more. This one just smokes like a Nicaraguan Puro with a little bit of edge to it.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
So I rated a cigar really high, Will, and I smoked this on the last time we did a show. It wasn't the last Stogie Geeks show, but I think it was the last time we did a show, as evidence in the picture. And it's interesting we have Steve on the show too. This is in the Dirty Rat
And
family.
I smoked this cigar, and it's a hell of a cigar.
Yeah.
I had it as Chuck Norris.
So this is the year of the rat, and this is done. So if I get this right, there's a hockey team in Florida called the Panthers. Is that right?
Yes.
They get
Yes,
that right?
correct.
They got the animal right?
Yep.
I was talking about this with someone last week. And that's the only way you can get this cigar, unless you know people, is to go to the hockey rink and go to the cigar lounge that is the Drew Estate Cigar Lounge in the hockey rink and purchase the Year of the Rat cigar.
So wait a minute. What if I don't like hockey?
I tell you what, I would go there just to get the cigar.
You buy tickets for a hockey game so you can buy the cigar.
I don't know. Maybe I might win them or get someone to
we may have,
give
well,
it to me.
we can't. Well, we can't anymore use our connections.
I
with
know.
the-
It's going to be interesting how we get this cigar because I really need more.
I've heard good things about it. I haven't actually smoked
Steve,
it.
I mean, I'd be curious because I think it really does justice to the Unico series.
Yeah.
Really?
I'd be curious to see what you thought of it.
This is weird because, customers always come up to me and ask me, what do I think? What do I think about, they say, oh, it's not as good. It's better. It's whatever. And the way I've avoided this conversation is I actually haven't smoked a single Liga Privada that's been produced since February of 2013.
Right.
So when I left the company, I brought quite a few thousands of Ligas with me. And
that's what you smoke?
And that's what I smoke out of. So I actually haven't smoked a single Liga Privada that's been made since February of 2013. And that's the way that I can't get caught in that conversation.
Yeah.
So I can't even have an opinion that way.
Right.
And it's better because I'm human. So, I mean, the natural inclination would be to say, well, they're not as good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be the natural inclination. And the truth is that doesn't behoove anybody. And so for me, my solution to that is just simply to, keep smoking what I have, and hopefully it'll last the rest of my life.
So this Year of the Rat, Will, for me and Steve, this is Oasis. This is our highest rating.
Wow.
I mean, this cigar had everything going.
So now you're like trying to make me break my resolve.
I'm gonna, right? 'Cause,
It's really good.
To deserve this rating, I mean, you gotta basically knock it out of the park in every category. Burn drawn construction's a given,
right?
But in terms of flavor and balance and the way it tastes in the first third and the final third, the transitions that it makes, the whole smoking experience, the amount of smoke, everything just has to come together. And for this cigar, it did deserve the Oasis rating.
So if it's for the Panthers, why is it called the Year of the Rat?
So I can explain that.
Go ahead, Will.
There's a few reasons. So, 1996, it's the year the Florida Panthers made the Stanley Cup Finals. It's also the year, from what I understand, relatively speaking, Drew Estate was founded. It's 20th anniversary for both teams. 1996 was also the Year of the Rat in the Chinese Zodiac. And then during the Panthers' run at the Stanley Cup Finals in 1996, the fans were known to throw rubber rats on the ice every time a goal was scored. And then obviously rat has its use in other cigars in the Drew Estate line.
Okay.
There
so
you go.
They actually, and it's a 5.5 by 46 Corona Gorda, which I just thought worked great with that blend.
It did. Like I said, everything came together in this cigar.
How does it taste different than a Dirty Rat in your estimation?
It's got more different flavors.
Right.
There's more nuances to it, and the flavors to me are just more prominent.
Well, this is broadleaf too. This is a broadleaf cigar as opposed to the Rat.
Right. The rat's the T52 Kappa.
The T52 Rat. Yeah. But it's not like it's not like a 9. I'm going to say this doesn't smoke anything like a 9.
How does it compare to a Velvet Rat?
I don't think I've smoked Velvet Rat, have I?
Yeah, I haven't had a Velvet Rat in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I've had one. Probably smokes a lot better than that if I don't remember what the Velvet Rat tastes like.
There you go.
Yeah, it's the same with me.
Yeah, just tons of flavor from this one. It really, really impressed me. One of the better cigars I've smoked all year, for sure.
I thought it had a little bit of kick at the end of that cigar, too. It had a lot of body.
It did, yeah. It was kind of like medium. It wasn't over the top strength, certainly.
But that body,
it was kind of a little heavy on the palate, but not a lot of high nicotine strength. And you're right in the
I just want to make sure I understand, though. You're recommending that in order for your viewers to buy this, they have to go to the stadium, buy a ticket to see a hockey game, so they can then go and buy the cigar.
That's an Oasis rating.
Is there no retailer anywhere in the country where they can buy it?
No. That's the only place you can buy it. I didn't set those rules. I rate the cigar for the cigar, right? So now we look at how you get it. That's not my fault.
So here we have a cigar that's highly rated. You guys absolutely love it. but there's really no means for anyone to buy it.
Pretty much. It happens like
Genius.
that sometimes. It happens like that sometimes. Again, those are circumstances beyond my control. I wish that this was more readily available, but
I was hoping that they were going to say something. Well, given the FDA,
Right,
but I didn't
right.
see any announcement on that because it is. I mean, it would.
Well,
really,
I mean, with the FDA, though, I mean, they've already been selling it, so there's nothing that really precludes them from expanding the distribution of the brand.
distribution.
That's true. That's
I
true.
mean, so maybe
it'll be-
we'll see it in the future on retail shelves.
I hope so. I hope so. In the meantime, if we have listeners that are going to a hockey game and you want to pick us up some,
Yeah, definitely.
I'll send you lots of cigars in return.
Yeah, they'll definitely. We will. There's a bounty out if you go into a Panthers hockey game.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
I think there's a limit what you could buy. Believe it or not,
And is there a price point that we know of on this cigar, Will?
$14.
Okay.
Okay.
Well
I'd pay $14.
Yeah, it's right
on
in
it.
the line with the rest of the rats.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, I don't know if I would buy a plane ticket to. Is there Orlando? Orlando, where's the?
Miami.
Dude, what are you
Miami.
talking about? You're so rich. You're $100 for a third of a cigar. What's a plane
What's a
ticket?
plane ticket?
Yeah,
Hotel
come on,
tickets
yeah,
to a
come
hockey. I
on.
don't even like hockey.
Yeah, come on. That's chump change.
We got to make it a business expense. You want to come with me? We'll fly to Florida. I'll pay for it. All expenses paid trip. Oh boy! And are you limited? Probably 2 per customer or something?
I think you might be. I
Yeah.
thought there was a limit on
Oh,
that.
that would extra suck then.
Get all the way out there and realize we can only buy 2
Oh,
each.
yeah,
right?
come on.
I heard when they opened, like I was down in Miami when they launched this cigar, but they launched the lounge, which is where it's at the BB&T Arena. But I heard basically when they launched the lounge, they didn't have the cigars in that night.
Wow.
That sounds very
Yeah.
Drew State.
Oh boy!
But but I was so I did get my hands on a couple of those.
So hopefully they will be more readily available.
I hope so, Sam. If you're listening, man, I know you can't send it to us, but we'll buy them. So.
Can we buy him? We can send him money, and he can send us cigars, right? Because that's not a free sample, right?
Dude,
gonna
I'm
be
not
for
getting
free.
into this conversation about what's legal and illegal. You're all on your own. Get your own counsel. I got my own problems.
So, Will, did you have more cigars? I kind of wanted to end with our mine.
I am done.
Okay.
So that was,
What's coming up in the review pipeline? Is there? I know we have a lot of cigars to review for IPCPR.
yeah.
Are there one? And I know you talked about it last week too, but what's coming up in the review cycle?
Davidoff Yamasa is coming up, for sure. Of course, Mi Querida is coming up. We'll probably have the Tabernacle by Nick Melillo on
Nice.
there.
Oh, in the Avo, that short little Bellicoso.
The Fogata.
Is that a Cinco Avo Nicaragua? Cinco Nicaragua?
It's a new blend off the Synchro line.
Okay. It's a
Yep.
different blend from the regular Synchro line.
Yes, it's a different blend. In fact, they're using less Ometepe tobacco in that one and more from like the Condega region. So you'll see when you smoke that, it's going to reflect those other regions very, very distinct. You've smoked it already,
I
but
smoked a
you'll-
bunch of them already. I haven't rated it yet, but it's
But I think
next
that
week.
that short one was really good. I'll be smoking the Black Diamond as
Mm-hmm.
well. I only have one of those left.
I've got some weird cigars coming up too. A friend of mine that comes on the security show was in Pennsylvania, picks them up from I think it was Pennsylvania or Maryland. He was somewhere in a small shop, place I'd never heard of. One of the cigars has like a really red wrapper on it. Like not part of the packaging, like the wrapper.
I talked about a really cigar with like a red clay wrapper.
Yes,
almost.
it looks
Yeah.
like red clay. I think it was
Yeah.
in the Carolinas, Will. It was in the Carolinas. It was in.
We've had this discussion on that.
Okay.
It's naturally colored red, or is it
I'm not-
augmented?
I'm not-
Can't say. Yeah.
I'm not sure. So I'm interested to smoke that one. The guys tell me there's another local shop here in Rhode Island that we haven't even talked about yet that has a cigar that looks like a ghillie suit. Apparently there's like candela and other wrapper, and it's like flaking off the cigar. They said it's one of the most interesting cigars they've ever seen. I
Yeah,
hope to review that one too.
We're actually going to get it tomorrow after class. We talked to Will about it, and he said it's a raw wrapper. Is that right?
It's raw.
It looks like it's just covered in leaves.
Yeah,
It's
it
all
looked
sticking
like.
What do
out.
they mean by raw?
I don't know.
It was like
Like
I
as
wanna
in
say
as in undercured or not fermented or
it was kind of a rugged, it was kind of like a rugged, toothy type of wrapper. That's what I was kind of referring to. I mean, it looks like a spaghetti western type of wrapper on this particular cigar is the best way to put it.
We'll take pictures once we get it.
Yeah, well, we're gonna put some pictures
Yeah.
up. It sounds interesting.
Yeah,
This
I have
sounds
those John
awful.
Hay cigars. I got to smoke those Pennsylvania Puros. Still.
Now, also too, so I picked up a couple cigars that were rolled at an event that I was at that I was
Right.
describing earlier. My experience with cigars that you get from the rollers is they're all kind of not very good. Is that
Right.
because the roller is buying tobacco that's not as high quality as manufacturers would use? Like,
Look,
people always tell me,
here's
"Oh,
the
Paul, you're in cigars. Like, we had a cigar roller. You should get a cigar roller." And I'm like,
And here's the problem. The problem is there's very limited amount of leaf that's available to those guys that are demo rollers.
that's the way I
so
described it. So it's
the
good to
amount
hear.
the selection that they have to choose from is pretty limiting.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is most demo rollers are making cigars for people that don't really smoke cigars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's very rare when you're at one of those events that has, and I'm not talking about, you go to a cigar store and, when Pepin Garcia was a demo roller, you were getting some great cigars. When
Right.
Raul Diesla was a demo roller, you were getting some great cigars. But when you're getting a cigar, you're at some charity function and they brought in a roller. And the other thing, too, is, it's really hard to properly maintain and prep the materials on the road. I mean, it's a lot of work to get the materials, to the proper prep level necessary to make the cigars properly, and it's almost impossible to do that when you're in some ballroom somewhere or
Right, right.
Yeah.
it's just not the ideal conditions to make cigars in to begin with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I didn't have Paul a roller at my daughter's wedding. I mean, I looked into it, but that was kind of like my feeling. I just didn't think I was going to have a good cigar there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever have to do it, the best thing to do is just to take ready-made cigars and just
Hand those out.
tear the wrappers off them. And,
Yeah.
just have them pass the wrapper on the cigar.
There you go.
And then at least you're going to get a decent smoke.
Well, some rollers will have ones that are already rolled.
Well, they
And
almost
those
always
ones
do
that come
because
out,
you can't bunch them quick enough at the event anyways. So they'll make a few hand bunches at the event, but 90% of cigars you get, they were previously bunched and pressed, and they really just need to have the wrapper passed on them. So
But
that
I
they
find the tobacco they use is not of a quality as you get in a retail shop buying.
nor should you expect it to be.
Right. Okay. Well, that definitely corroborates my story that I've been telling. So, I want to thank Steve Saka for appearing
Thank you
in
very much.
studio.
No,
Thanks
pleasure's
for the
all mine.
support. Thanks for the support as well, Steve, throughout the
The
year.
official cigar industry curmudgeon. I love it. It's great. Brings us to reality.
Yeah.
Will Cooper, as always, thank you very much. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll be back next week. So stay tuned.